Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unlock a fantastic English phrase. Seriously, using it will make your speaking and writing sound so much more sophisticated and powerful. If you're ready to level up your English, let's get started. All right, let's just dive right in. On the left, we've got two perfectly fine sentences. She sings, she also dances. It's correct, sure, but it's also a little simple. Now look to the right. She not only sings, but also dances. Can you feel that difference? The second one just flows better. It has more rhythm, more power. It connects the two ideas in a way that's way more interesting. So in this explainer, we're going to take it step by step. We'll start with why this phrase is so useful in the first place, then we'll learn the basic structure. After that, we'll move on to a more advanced, more formal version. And we'll wrap up by covering the essential rules so you can use it perfectly every single time. Okay, let's kick things off with section 1. What is this phrase really doing? And why is it so important to add it to your vocabulary? So here's the key thing to get. Not only, but also, is basically a special tool we use for emphasis. It tells whoever you're talking to that, yeah, two things are true. But, and this is the important part, it puts a huge spotlight on that second thing, making it sound way more impressive or surprising. Okay, let's get into the most common way you're going to see and use this phrase. This is the foundation for everything else we're going to learn. I want you to think of this almost like a simple recipe. First, you start with your subject, the person or thing doing the action. Then you just pop in not only, followed by the first verb. After that, you add but also, and then the second verb. See? It's a pretty logical flow when you break it down. For example, take a look at this sentence. The subject is he. The first action, he reads books. That's cool. But the second action, that he writes them, well, that's a whole other level of skill, isn't it? The phrase not only but also is just perfect for highlighting that surprise. And here's another fantastic example of the same idea. Building a house is a huge deal, right? But to have designed it too, wow, that shows an entirely different skill set. This sentence structure is just perfect for adding that extra layer of meaning and emphasis. All right, now let's note on to a more advanced technique. This next structure is incredibly powerful, especially if you're writing something formal or if you really want to make a strong impression when you're speaking. Now, I need you to pay really close attention here. This is the absolute #1 rule for this advanced form. If you decide to start your sentence with not only, you have to change the word order. You have to what we call invert, basically switch the subject and the helper verb. It's the exact same switch you make when you ask a question in English. This slide gives us a really simple 4-step process for building this kind of advanced sentence correctly. So let's just walk through it together. Step 1, you start with not only. Step 2, you have to add a helper verb like did, has, or will. 3, you add your subject. And 4, you add the main verb. It might seem a little complex, but let's see it in action. Look really closely here. We don't say, not only she did finish. The right way is, not only did she finish. See how that helper verb did comes before the subject she? That is perfect inversion, and it makes the sentence sound so strong and so formal. Let's look at one more great example just to make sure it clicks. Here, the helper verb is has. We use has a lot for actions that happened in the recent past that are still relevant. And notice the pattern again. Not only has the company expanded. Once again, helper verb before the subject. Once you get that grammar pattern down, you've mastered it. So to use this structure and sound totally natural, you've got to be aware of a few common traps. Let's go over the most important rules to keep you on the right track. Okay, this slide has the 3 critical rules you just have to know. Let's break them down. Rule number 1 is about parallel verbs. All this means is that the verbs in both parts of the sentence have to be in the same form. We'll see an example in just a second. Rule number 2, inversion. Remember, you only use that inversion trick when your sentence starts with not only. And rule number 3 is super important. You never use inversion after but also. Let's look at some mistakes. Okay, here is a really common mistake with parallelism. See how we have the verb speaks, which is in the simple present tense, but then we have to teach, which is an infinitive. Those two forms just don't match. And here's the easy fix. The correct version uses speaks and teaches. Now, both verbs are in that same simple present tense. They're parallel, and the whole sentence sounds smooth and natural. All right, now for the second big trap. This is a very, very common mistake. Sometimes when people learn the inversion rule, they get a little too excited and try to use it everywhere. But you have to remember, the inversion only happens once, right at the beginning of the sentence. You don't do it again after but also. The correct sentence goes back to a normal structure in the second half. Not only did he finish, there's your inversion, but he also submitted it, and that part is just a simple, normal statement. Great work. You've done an awesome job so far. You honestly now have all the knowledge you need to use this phrase like a pro. Let's just do one final quick review to make sure all this information really sticks. This slide is the perfect summary of everything we've talked about. On the left side, you've got the basic form. It's great for everyday normal conversation. And on the right, you have that emphatic, inverted form. That one is perfect for more formal situations, like in your writing or in a speech, where you really want to make a strong point. Just take a second to see how the structure changes between the two. So the biggest takeaway from all of this is that you have just added a fantastic new tool to your English toolkit. You can now add some real emphasis and surprise to your sentences. And so, I have a final question for you. Not only have you learned this powerful phrase today, but where are you also going to use it first? Think about it and try to practice it. Thanks for watching.